glad I waited about an hour. I would have been dropping the F-bomb about 100 times today. Let's see, guys. Just got out of church. Oh, it's going to be a little windy. I don't know if you're going to hear me. Maybe this phone is going to do better. I waited. I got up raging today. Raging. I'm going to make a deal today. You know, I had a friend. Now, until these guys give me permission to use their names, I'm not going to use them. This is I'm going to be merciful to the chief of police right now. Merciful. Many years I had a friend here. Many years. I saw videos and all, but I'm not going to tell you who he is unless he wants me to. He lives here. This is Flower Bluff, Corpus Christi. Don't do drugs. Struggles in his life. Just to tell me, I'm gonna probably drop the F-bomb on this video. Used to have a cop living across the street from him, telling him if I see fucking homeless people here, this is my fucking neighborhood, threatening. Years he's told me this shit, my friend. Not making it up. They promoted him to the police chief. So here's mercy to you. I've never met you. I'm not sure what your name is. If you don't want me to document all the shit you said and all the threats you made and go through the whole process again, just go ahead and tell the city manager, Ron Olson, who's also leaving, because the feds are investigating you. Tell him this week you don't want that position of assistant police chief. Just tell him that. Don't follow people. Don't threaten people. Don't commit crimes in your department. That's the deal you have. That's your mercy. I won't document all the stuff my friend told me that you said to him for 20 effing years. I won't document it. But you tell the city manager when you see this, you decided you don't want the assistant police chief position. You don't rule this place. Officer Nichols has threatened my friends for 20 years out here, telling them I rule this place, committing crimes. I give you true testimony. I said, what gives you the authority? Because you have false testimony on me. That's what gives me the authority. Now today is a beautiful day. I'll be going to New York soon. Don't mess with my family either. When you have officers who commit crimes, and those crimes go on for years and years and years and years, you say, John, was it such a bad crime that cop said that to your friend? Let me tell you something. You shouldn't be promoted to running this thing. A gang of criminals is what you run. You say, John, I'm a Christian officer and I like your side. I already said, get off of it. This ain't for you. This side ain't for you. I wish they gave the verses and the mass. They didn't give them. I was going to walk down, and I have every right as a citizen to ask any questions I want of you. So I'm merciful. I'm not going to document all the stuff you said to my friend. But you inform the city manager you don't want that position anymore. So my friend told me that's these stories. You know where he lives. You know the friend I'm talking about. Telling him that stuff. Off duty. Threatening if you see homeless people around that area. So today you got mercy. You got mercy. You got true testimony. You know, in the crucifixion of Christ, he gave true testimony. And there were people in that whole network lying, cheating, stealing, committing crimes. said, I'm speaking the truth. John the Apostle, I like John. His letters, he said, there are three that bear record in heaven. The Father, the Son, the Spirit. Three that bear record in earth. It says, if you receive the testimony of man, the testimony, you say, oh John, I watch your videos and I even had false testimony against you. Repent. Correct it. Not threatening you, correct it. It's your only hope. Well, I don't believe in hell. It don't make a difference whether you believe in hell or not. It's real. I don't believe it. Don't make a difference. You fear death? It's because you're going to give an account. That's where you fear death. All the intellectualism in the world can't escape you from fearing death. Society puts that on people. If you read the story of Christ, it's windy. I'm trying to get out of the wind. Jesus said, in the Gospel of John, I believe, he said, you go about to kill me, a man that has told you the truth, which I heard from God. They said, you're crazy. Who's going about to kill you? What he saw was the end result of sinful humanity, which is that. If we can't harass, I'm going to be in New York. Maybe I'll go visit that family in Staten Island. The cops in New York harassing that family that took the video, which is against the law. It's against the law to do that, but what are you going to do to stop us? Like gangs. They operate like gangs, like criminal gangs is how they operate. You churches that are hiring cops, well, I need them for protection. Did you go to Bible school? This will save your church from going bankrupt and that whole area being a farm in 2 years from now, I prophesy to you. What do you mean? It'll shut. What'd you learn in Bible school? Did you read the Bible? Do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot do anything about the soul. So what do you have cops? Well, they might do something here. They might kill me. Do not fear those who kill the body. Learn the Bible. I got to pay them to protect me. Out. Jesus and his men out. They're getting crucified, martyred. Jesus hired Roman bodyguards to protect them. We got to protect the anointed one. You're not more anointed than him. So that's a prophecy for. Don't live in fear. Don't live in fear. If you're doing ministry, a big aspect, Jesus gave a command. Don't fear those who kill the body. I send you out like sheep among wolves. Part of the testimony is your willingness to be out. I work with addicts, paid my whole life. Guys with guns, they pulled them out with me there. Am I bragging? I'm saying no. That's part of it. You're told not to be afraid. What image does that give that you got security all over the place? Paying with money. So Jesus said, you're going about to kill me. They said, oh, you're paranoid, Jesus. Who's going about to kill you? They killed him. He knew the end result of sinful men. And what men will do, and this is what's happening in policing across this country. When those cops get caught on video, never forget all these incidents you saw. Until the video came out, their internal reports lies. Chiefs lied. Investigators lied. The cop who planted the gun at the scene, shot that guy like a deer in the back, lied. I lied. Everybody else lied. Oops, the video came out. What happens now when the video came out, which is legal to take? Hunt those people down. They're arresting the mother of that kid who took the video. Instead, you guys are criminals. You guys are criminals. You need to be off the department and be in prison. That's what you need to do. I'll go interview that lady. This is the mother of the kid who took the video when Pantaglia murdered Eric Garner in cold blood on the streets. And those rebel cops in New York, they protested, they turned their back on Mayor de Blasio. They would, we're going to do what we wanted. You need to be fired. You need to be put in prison is what you need for breaking the law. It's against the law to harass. This is an open letter to you. I've never met him. I think your name is Chief Merkel. Never met you. I want no contact with you. You stay away from me. Your group, your gang. You know who I'm talking about. I won't give you the name because I didn't get the permission. You told my friend living right over here off of Laguna Shores when you lived there. If I see these fucking homeless people around here, this ain't a fucking dump. Just relinquish the position. That's what it was reported to me that you said to him. Who do you think you are threatening people when you're not on duty? It's not law. It's not law. You say, oh, we thought you were going to move to New York. You leave. You move out of here. Did I not report all these things Tommy Nichols did? Everybody knows. You know. You know what he's been doing. You guys know. I give you true testimony. True testimony. Say, oh, well, you don't know nothing. It says the scepter of ruling, of authority, is righteousness. That means if you have authority to be a cop, whatever you think you have, you do it in righteousness. You don't go around threatening people. You didn't want all the homeless showing up in your neighborhood, so you threatened your neighbor across the street from you. Jesus said every word spoken in secret is going to come out. So you get mercy because I'm not going to go ahead and document everything you said to him and send it off. The DEA and the feds are here in Flower Bluff. They're probably here today at Brother Ray's, that black lady. So you got mercy. You've not gotten all the secrets. The scripture says Jesus rules. He's King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And he rules. So you're mad. Thank God I went to church. Thank God I went to church. It would have been worse. Those that none of this is a joke, kidding around. If societies today, injustice is happening in the world. I read that speech from Frederick Douglass, the abolitionist who I really like a lot, the white anti-slavery Christian, was I think Lloyd Garrison, I forget now again, but I read this speech that I posted yesterday from Frederick Douglass. It's a really good speech. It's a really good speech. He told the Christians, examine yourselves. It was a merciful speech, but it was a tough speech. He said, you rejoice in liberty and you enslave through your silence of the things that were happening at that time, the certain Slavery Act law that they had in the nation. He said, it's an affront to God, Frederick Douglass is saying. Never read anything from Frederick Douglass. He says, and he quotes the Old Testament prophets, who said, your solemn assemblies, your church meetings, all the wonderful things that you're doing, when you close your eyes to injustices, it's a stench in my nostrils. He was quoting, I think it's Isaiah. He says, I don't want it. I want justice, righteousness. These things you should have done and not to leave the other things undone. Mercy, compassion on your fellow man. I was a firefighter for 25 years, Chief. Merkel, I think, is your name. I worked with cops for 25 years. I'm not saying you're a total criminal. I'm saying you got mercy today. I'm not going to report everything you said to my friend. Write it down. How could you let Nichols do all the stuff for 20-something years? You all know what he was doing. Famous things. I didn't mention those because it involves girls that I know. Famous things. Public. So, Jesus stood before Pilate. All of the harassment that they did on him, threatening him, he said, don't you know Herod's going to kill you? Tell that fox, I walk today, tomorrow, the third day I'll be perfected. He's telling, don't be pulling that, he might kill you on me. Don't pull that on me. He You're going to stand before the judgment of God for all these crimes that are committed. False testimony. I told you in the beginning of this, I got authority to do this because you have false testimony on me. You let that stand as a joke. Full aware of it. So you gave me authority for this. So this week, you should see the chief willingly on his own, or you'll see a bunch. I'll document if my friend wants the statements that were made. We'll go through that whole process again. Clean up your house. Judgment began at the house of God, but what will the end be for those of you who do not obey the gospel? Pulling me over. You didn't leave your blinker on long enough. You got people. What about that kid you guys shot a month ago? The mother called. She called. It was another case of the kid was bipolar, had a bunch of problems. This here in Corpus Christi. She called. You killed him. You shot him. I think he's dead. I don't know if he died or not. Not a single media, KIII, none of them followed up on that. What about all these unsolved bank robberies? The drive-bys, right here. They do drive-bys all over this place. Breaking in expensive neighborhoods. You don't report all the murders. You know that there have been people killed out there in the bluff. You know that. Never reported. Friends of mine told me, these are years ago, the bodies are probably gone. They stumble on human skeletons out here. By the Oso. Right where that cop lives, by the way, off the Oso. My dear Mayor Noel, you say, John, we didn't know all this was going on. Now you know. I sent you letters like 2 years ago. You think he's nuts. All of this for many years. Many years. Many years. And then when he was before Pilate, Pilate said again, ultimately, that's the last threat that people do. And do not ever think that they don't do that here. When they're affiliated with gangs, they don't say, cops don't say, we're going to kill you. They have other people say, don't shut your mouth or you get a bullet in your head. Yet do they use language? I gave you a story of one of my friends who had a gun on his head and said, we'll fucking blow your brains out by a cop. I gave you that story. This happened many years ago. So we never knew all of that, John. Well, if you want this city to be a beautiful city, and you want the crime rate to not skyrocket, and the ones you don't even report, then this has to be corrected. This has to be corrected. When the New York situation went on, and they videotaped, we had a guy here, I forget who he is, it went a little viral on the video. Some lady pulled out her phone. And he should be fired. I don't know who he is. Some sheriff guy was about 2 months ago here, went viral. But she was going to legally record something, an arrest. Oh, they saw her with the phone. They wound up putting her in a headlock, a woman, a female. It's on video, throwing her on the ground. Well, we asked her for her ID and whatever it was. So what are you telling people when you do that? You're saying, how dare you report crimes by us? That's what cops are saying when they do that. So in New York City, in Staten Island, they just arrested them, I think the mother again. They put that family on notice. All of the New York City cops. We're going to ride by your house. We're going to stick lights in you, which is illegal. It's illegal. They don't care. They're criminals. They're terrorists. They call their friends and say, go follow this guy. I'm grateful that the feds are investigating this place. This place, they're here. The police chief lived here. The one that's acting chief right now still got the house. He rents it out. My friend told me those stories for years. It's not new. I didn't know he was the same guy that they promoted to the chief. It's my advice. Just tell the city manager you don't want it. Don't you come after me. Don't you threaten people. You say you're speaking. No, you actually have used words here. Your officers told my friends, documented it. If you don't disappear, I'll make you disappear. I wrote that down. Albert Hoffman. Tommy Nichols told that to Albert Hoffman. Unless he's lying, that was reported to me. Send it off. Death threat. You let that guy stay in the force? If you don't disappear, Albert Hoffman. You know Albert Hoffman. If you don't leave, I'll make you disappear. 20 years of this. Stories. Investigate. You know it's true. Think that's funny? Threatening people? You threaten people. That's what you do. You don't enforce law. You don't enforce law. You have a network out here. Network. Reported all the stuff. Tommy took the guns. Somebody, I wrote it, reported it. They did a bust. He went and got all the guns. Criminal guns. Collected them. Supposedly the guy who reported that to me said he was off duty. He went and got them. Working with all these guys out here. Criminal crap. I wrote that. I don't know if it's exactly true, but did you ever investigate it? Matt told me that. They were there in one of the trailer parks. There was a big bust. Tommy came over, and I asked him, was he in uniform? No, he's off duty. He got all the guns. How could a cop or any officers, what happens in time, you walk in the streets and maybe you're a cop, you get comfortable. Money is the root of all evil. I'm sure some of these dealings, you know, you watch these stories on TV about all these stories, you know, cops over the years, just a mob. I used to watch a lot of mafia stuff. And the feds, they were all in on it. When I was in North Bergen a few years ago, I prayed for him. His name is, I could still remember his name. Berggren, not Bergen, but Bergen. He used to be a prosecutor, law enforcement. He became private law practice. And he went to jail, I think, for life. I cut his story out and I pray for him. It's in my little journal to people I pray for. I remember his statement. He even represented one of the terrorist cases, famous prosecutor. But he actually was involved in a hit of a witness, a killing, to murder a witness in a case he was doing. And I read the story, the statement. So he was prosecuted, was involved with law enforcement, and he got to a point where they were taking out, murdering witnesses in cases. And he got convicted and gave a statement before this a few years back. So that's why people say, how could all this be going on? It goes on. It's always gone on. It's always gone on. Jesus said if they do these things in a green tree, what do you think will happen in the dry? What he was saying is kind of a hard to understand statement. He said if during a time of order of a country, not anarchy like you're seeing in Syria and Iraq and all, but when there's order, if they get away with that when there's not anarchy, he says, what do you think will happen when there's anarchy? I've never made a threat, but I've documented cops making threats and carrying those threats out. Told one of the guys, if I ever see you on the street, I'll arrest you without cause. Did it. Did it. Angel told me once, he said, I'll take my uniform off and beat the fuck out of somebody. Open, public, streets here. Those are threats. Those are threats carried out. Those are threats done with impunity. With impunity. Why do you think every time I see a cop car, stay away from me? Don't come near me unless you have an actual reason to. Because my experience is you allow these guys to stay in the force for all these years, which is unjust. Mayor and councilors and commissioners, the DEA lady, she also has said the same things I have said, that she can't believe how open it is here in Flower Bluff. Affiliation with illegal activity and local law enforcement. That's your DEA. It's your feds, if what my friend said was correct. So today I did show mercy, because I won't mention any of that again unless he stays there. If he keeps the position, then I'll go ahead and write if my other friend wants. My other friend used to tell me those stories for years. Years he told me those stories. Look, if you're off duty and you don't want a bunch of homeless in your neighborhood, I get that. But you don't threaten people. You don't threaten people. It's because you're an officer that doesn't give you the right to threaten people. And guys on duty who've carried them out, carried threats out. The righteous are as bold as a lion, but the wicked flee when no man pursues. Let the angel of the Lord chase him. They said, where is the word of the Lord? Let it come now. The scepter of God's kingdom is a scepter of righteousness. John, you cursed. I gave you I repeated what was told me, and I've given you true testimony in these things. True testimony, not lying testimony. It was a case where they prosecuted. This was something for sort of like that friend I didn't meet yet, but the family of the guy that the daughter said the father molested her, and then later she said the mom made her lie. But there was some other case, and they had the people later come forward to say we lied. And the cops and the prosecutors threatened them and said, we don't want you to come and say you lied about this person. We'll put you in prison. You didn't know that happens? You call that law? You had that black guy on death row, a couple of them. I think one of them just passed away, I've mentioned him before. All the evidence came out that they lied, their fake thing. And those prosecutors and cops, everything in their power to put that black guy to death, to cover up, because it would have made their careers look bad. Criminal. Absolute criminal murder, lying, false accusation, all backed up in that one case by the prosecutor, cops, everything they could do, every illegal activity under the sun to put that black guy to death. You call that law? You want to hire those guys out of the offering money? So, this is life. Today was, I'm about 1/10 as mad as I was when I woke up. Remember the verse. If judgment begins at the house of God, what will the end be for those who obey not the gospel? This will be an open letter to the chief. God bless.